Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for the blessings of today. And please forgive me, I'm pretty raveled right now. And I pray that each student, that all of us actually who get to sit here and partake of this class, we can all benefit. Even me, Lord. I ask for a blessing and thank you for natural remedies, and that each one of us will have a better understanding of these wonderful, simple treatments to help ourselves as well as others. And Father, please bless our efforts. In the loving name of Jesus, amen. Amen. So, if you remember last day in class, we started hydrotherapy. We went over theory, and I had requested that you just finish the theory part on your own. It's a lot of reading, and I had introduced fomentations, and I had showed what fomentations. I had gone into a little bit of detail about fomentations, but a lot of people don't have understanding what fomentations are and how to use them. So we're going to go over that detail again, because one student was not here, so for her benefit we'll go over it a second time. And then, oh, just right here, if that's okay, I'll be careful, don't worry. So if you can go into your hydrotherapy notes, back to, hang on, for page 42, I'd like to read again about the fomentations. I should just probably leave that out. Page 42 in your notes. So the definition, it's a fomentation consists of a local application of moist heat to the body's surface. And if you recall last day, I'm going to actually go into some demonstration about that, not on the body itself, but I'm going to show you how to do such a thing for making it moist in a minute. So, and then it talks, in this paragraph, it talks about how to make a fomentation or what kind of material to use. It says it could be 50% wool or 50% cotton or end, and other material such as a mattress pad, 2 to 3 layers sewed together, approximate size 1 foot by a yard. A yard is pretty long, like this is not a yard, and this is basically trunk size, right? From the nape of your neck down to the bottom of your spinal cord, and really this is ideal. A yard is way too long, so I suggest this in contrast to what it's saying in here.
So it doesn't matter what size your body is, or how you're treating it? Well, I guess you're going to be focusing on your internal organs, right? And if a person is extra large, their organs are still there. They just got a lot of insulation on top of that.
That's a nice way to put it.
And if you're to make your own fomentations, I showed you this. Henry made this for me. I asked, it's not a foot wide. A foot wide would be better, like this. And I'm not even sure if that's real 12 inches there, but you can tell there's about an inch short on this. But it's just a demonstration, just to give you an idea how easy it is to make when it's wet. So you can have a look what this is, because I know you weren't here. And all this is very basic. It's a bath mat that when you come out of the bathtub, he just folded it over and sewed it up. And that's it. And the idea is, you see how it's got just stitches across, like diamond shape? And this is a professional one. And he did the same with this. So it's very easy peasy.
He just holds it together.
He just folded it together.
Yeah, but the stitching holds it together.
Oh, right, exactly. So you can do that for those who are, okay, anyway. I have that one wet for a reason. By the way, I have 2 hours for this class. Okay, so, but there's no excuse to be late. It eats up the time. Okay, anyways, for equipment. The equipment isn't general for every treatment. I cannot go into all the treatments today. There's so many treatments. That's why you have this other packet of notes in your books. We're going to look at a tiny little bit of that, but we're not going to do any of them except for one. And it just tells you what you need for a general treatment involving fomentations. I'm not going to read all of it. The last day I did talk about how you can heat these fomentations. The reason why I have this canister here is I'm going to show you how you can make your own steam bath at home. And this is it. And we're going to actually do it. And we'll explain that shortly. But we talked about the microwave oven method, where you would take a fomentation. It says sprinkling, but if you sprinkle it, you don't get it wet because it's really quite thick. So what I done is I put it in the shower. Here, to touch it, pass it around. You want to saturate it. You want to wring out all the excess water. You want it this consistency for wetness, because if you're doing a steam bath, it's going to heat up in the steam, and steam is much hotter than boiling water. Yeah. Okay. So, and again, to make one of these wet, it says sprinkling in your notes. Sprinkling is really not baptism. You immerse them. So I put this right, and then you wring it out, get all the excess water, and then you, because you want it this wet when it's going to get hot, okay? I lost one of my students. Okay. Oh yeah. Yesterday I talked a little bit about the boiling water method. It said in here. When I was in the jungles of Guyana doing hydrotherapy or teaching it, we had a big pot like this on the stove filled with boiling water. I used cotton towels instead of actual fomentations because I didn't have any of these out there. And you basically just twist it up really, really well like that, you know, and then you put it in the water. You hold out the dry edges on the side. You let it get hot in the water, then you wring it out really well. Squeeze out all the excess water. Easier to handle. Then you fold it up in your wool blanket. Sorry about the dog. And then you use it on your patient as necessary. And then another way of warming them up was in the microwave oven. You get it wet again to this consistency. You put it in a black plastic garbage bag. You put it in the microwave for 5 minutes, and it's amazing. The black bag does not melt. I thought they would, but they don't. Tells you something about microwave ovens a little bit, hey? So anyways, but it does heat up the actual fomentation on the inside. You need hot, like rubber gloves, the dish gloves to handle it because it's really excessively hot. And then your patient will be ready around the corner in a bed to do your treatments back and forth. And I think that's probably the best method if you don't have one of these. I mean, the microwave oven is the best method, but if you're like me and you don't have a microwave oven, like many, for good reason, this would be your next best method, and I'm gonna talk about this after. And then the last one I talked about was the regular oven. Now, some of my fomentations, like this one, yeah, for example, it says in here, so again, it's going to be wet to the consistency you all felt. You wrap it up, you roll it up nice and loose in a tin foil, wrap it up nice and loose in a tin foil, and then you stick it in the oven for 25 minutes. And at, what does it say, 450 Fahrenheit for 25 minutes. That's a long time. But I actually ended up burning my fomentation. So I have done it that method before. It's okay to do it that way, but you know, well, it has to get hot. The whole point is you need it hot. And so
would 350 be
you can probably, I don't know, but the point is you need it hot. Yeah. It has to be in here because if it's a fomentation for a chest revulsion. 3 minutes on the chest. It has to maintain that hot for 3 minutes. And so if you make it too cold, trying to spare your equipment or your hands, you may not get the right consistent, like the right heat exchange when you do your cold application, because you're looking for that, what's the word? It's coming to me, but I'll get to it in a minute. Do you know when you contrast, that's the word, hot and cold. You have to have the right heat and you have to have the right cold. And when you take off the heat, you're going to do a mitten friction of cold. You need that proper contrast, so you need a good hot pad to put on your chest or wherever on your body type of thing. Okay, so those were the 4 methods of heating your fomentation. And then here's a little bit about the effects of the indication. It's designed for pain relief, for internal organs by reflex action, and muscle and joints by counter irritation. And derivation of increased blood flow peripherally in order to relieve congestion internally and for stimulation. It increases the blood flow to a short 3 to 5 minute application of intense, which may be followed by cold 20 to 30 seconds. So general hydrotherapy, everybody in here raised their hand when I asked if you had some experience with hydrotherapy, right? And it's not just fomentation, it's hot foot baths as well. Sorry, there's a barking dog outside. I don't know who it belongs to. What a rude dog. So anyways, actually that's not true, it's my dog. Anyway, so whenever you apply heat, you always start with heat application. 3 minutes is the general rule, and then 30 seconds cold or 1 minute cold, depending on the treatment. And you'll know your treatments once you get used to them. But you have to have that contrast. So hot goes on first, then the cold, and cold is always last. So if you're doing a hot shower, contrast in the shower for if you've got a cold or the flu, you start with a hot shower, 3 minutes hot. You get it at a temperature where you're not scalding yourself, but as hot as you can take it. I don't know if you want to take a thermometer and measure the water. The information's in here on how hot it should be. But your body generally knows how hot and how hot you can really tolerate. Some people can't tolerate, some people can. And diabetics, of course, you have to be careful.
How about steam bath?
Yeah, you can do steam baths too, but you need a cold shower afterwards.
Yeah, but I mean, like to get the contrast, like 3 minutes or 5 minutes?
If it's a steam bath, you're going to be in it for a lot longer because it's a detoxification, usually to sweat out through your pores if it's, you know, something like alcohol, for an example, or some other toxic, or painting. If you're painting with oil and you get a head swelling with paint fumes, you want to have a Russian steam bath, just whatever, right? Just you name it, but you're going to be under a tent for much longer, and then you always have to finish with a cold shower. You start with hot, you finish on cold, no matter what the treatment is. Okay, to stimulate certain functions of internal organs and decrease others, promote leukocytosis and phagocytosis. I tried to say it right. It promotes diaphoresis to produce tissue warming and relaxation in the preparation for massage, ultrasound, exercise, and electrical stimulations. Well, the other 3 I'm not sure about, but in preparation for massage, if you were to massage someone, if I was working in a clinic where I had access to hydro, we always did that. We always gave them a 20-minute hydro treatment of their choice. It could be shower, it could be fomentation, it could be a short steam bath, or it could be something finished on cold, and then it softens it relaxes them, it gives them complete relaxation, then go in for a massage It's always nice. And if you don't have the hydro ability to do that, then a hot blanket pack, a hot blanket, electric blanket you plug in. I have one upstairs, but everyone has seen them, and I can't find it among my stuff, but it's about yay big, and you plug it in, you set it, and you just let it rest on the person's body parts, wherever you're going to massage, shoulder, across the back, down the legs, wherever you're going to focus, 15 to 20 minutes, and then do your massage after that. Always a good idea. Okay. Where am I in here? Okay. Also, in preparation for cold. Yeah, I guess, okay, well, that's the same thing. You always start with hot and finish cold. It's a sedative. So heat, mild heat, 6 to 10 minutes is a mild sedative. Give me some reasons why you would need a mild sedative.
Anxiousness.
Yeah. Stress, definitely. There's lots of reasons. Okay, so reasons like that. If you're painful, and you don't have the ability to get a massage, get a little blanket, a heating pad blanket, plug it in and sit on it. If you get hurt, okay, this is a really good one too, because I was going to talk about clay at some point this week as well. Like charcoal, clay draws. And there's many different types of clay out there to use. And you're going to ask something?
No,
Oh, sorry. Sorry. So it draws toxins out of the system as well, like charcoal, externally. And I know you can drink it internally depending on what type of clay it is. But I was working at a facility. My patient had late stages of Parkinson's. She should have already at that time been in a manual lift, but she wasn't. I was the one that she used to fall on. We fell at dead body weight to the floor. It tore all my ligaments down through here, down through all the way down. And I was getting massage treatments, hydro treatments, but on my own spare time, I would make a clay poultice. I'd have my hot pad plugged into the wall. I'd have it sitting on the couch nice and comfortably. I put the clay poultice on my back where my muscles were tight and stretched out. I'd lay down on the hot pad. The hot pad would warm up the clay poultice and it would draw out all the inflammation. It was a really nice way to treat myself on my own if I had nobody else to take care of me. So there's ideas like that you can use to help yourselves as you need. And it also relieves nervous conditions, and insomnia when you can't sleep. Take a nice warm bath, right, or something like that. This is the idea of stimulation or a sedative to help you why we use heat as a remedy. And it relieves spasms, moderate heat by circulation, release of nervous tension. Precautions, or what's the other word that I told you what precautions were?
Contraindications.
Okay. Contraindication? Take care not to burn unconscious, paralyzed, diabetic patients with impaired circulation. Impaired circulation, I touched on that a little bit last time. Diabetic patients in particular, they may have neuropathy in the lower extremities, which means that the blood circulation is off and they don't have feelings down there. And that's especially bad because if they do get cut or a blister or some kind of infection, say on the toe or on the ankle, it takes an extremely long time to heal because there's no blood being circulated down in that area to bring proper nutrition and healing. So inflammation of any kind. So diabetic patients or other patients that have poor circulatory problems, you want to absolutely be careful when applying any type of heat. With diabetics, I mentioned 100 Fahrenheit. What's 100 in Celsius? Anyone? It's in your notes, actually. I could tell you right now if I look fine. Did you know? Well, if I don't find it, that's okay. It's in your notes.
Probably close to body temperature, high 30s.
No. What is Celsius for our body temperature? 38 something, and then it's 96.8 for Fahrenheit.
98.6.
98.6. I always mess that up.
Yeah, okay. So it's just a little higher.
It's just a little higher.
38.
Yeah, probably 38 or around that.
Really get higher.
Now, I didn't mention it in class the other day when we were talking about diabetics, but somebody told me that put a, crushed, what's it called, mustard seed on a fomentation to warm up their body and to do so. Was that you or no? Somebody else had a chest cold, and that's what they'd done.
It's an old-time remedy.
An old-time remedy. So maybe it was Annabelle, but it's true. Now, for a diabetic patient, you cannot make your water too hot if you're doing a hot water bath on them. And if you do, you may scald them or cause blistering, and it's just so simple to do to cause problems for them. So you take crushed mustard seed, and this, I'm not sure if it's going to be, there's a section in here on herbs, since it possibly might be in there, but it may not. But crushed mustard seed and cayenne pepper is another one that heats up. It's a heating herb. You put it on the skin and you get hot by it to the touch. And you would put that in the water, just, I don't know how much, a couple of tablespoons, mix it into the water. You have your 38 Celsius, point something something, or your 100 Fahrenheit, right on the dot, water temperature. Pour in some mustard seed, crushed up, or cayenne pepper is another one, and that will also do the vasodilation for the blood vessels underneath the skin. It will draw the blood, and you can get a very good contrast as you need for your diabetic patients or any other patient that has poor circulation. Okay?
So the water should be cold?
No.
Just room temperature?
No, it needs to be 100 Fahrenheit, or we talked about either 38 or 39 Celsius, okay? And it's in your notes if you want to check again for the formulation difference for Fahrenheit and Celsius, because I guess some of Canada does Fahrenheit and the other some of Canada does Celsius, which is okay.
In your notes, is there like the amounts you need, like the ratio of water to mustard seed?
No.
No?
There isn't. I don't think so. If there is, there might be, but I doubt it. I don't know. Like I said, a couple of tablespoons, right? It's not going to hurt the skin no matter how much you put in. The idea is to make it hot. Like, the sensation is to open up those blood vessels. That's the whole point, so you can do contrast. Because when you put the cold on that patient after the hot application or the mustard seed application, you're going to constrict. That's the whole point of the matter, without hurting the skin.
With the cayenne, you'd have to be more careful because
it doesn't burn the skin. No, they won't get an ulcer of any kind or blister or nothing. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know how much, but it wouldn't hurt. Put 4 tablespoons in. Like, I mean, whatever, right? It's just expensive, I guess.
One time I had a piece of pepper stuck under my fingernail, and my finger just swelled to like double the size. So that's why I'm cautious about peppers. But that was a habanero pepper, and it's much hotter.
Wow.
So that's.
Oh, I don't know.
See, I was wondering,
Okay.
would cayenne have a similar effect?
No, I think
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
No.
Even if you have a cut and you put cayenne, it won't cause a blister or anything.
It's actually good for you.
It's gonna help, yeah.
You should put it in your cuts if you got it, to help healing process.
I put a habanero, just a couple little grams, like really little on the end of my tongue. I couldn't even have lunch.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
It's
just like way
powerful.
different than
Yeah.
cayenne.
Yeah, it's a different type of pepper.
So this crushed mustard seed and cayenne pepper with water.
I would do one or the other, not both.
One or the other, it's up to each person, I guess. So then you do the foam cloth, you put it on and then to the skin.
Pardon me?
Then you put it on the foam cloth.
No, I would put it in the water. If you're doing a hot water foot bath,
So it's for the foot bath.
it's for the foot bath, because you can do fomentations on diabetic patients. all the time. I've done lots of diabetic patients with fomentations. It's easier because you just put more layers of towel between each one of these, right? That's a fomentation. When you're putting a hot fomentation wrapped up in a wool blanket, the wool blanket is the insulator to keep the heat retained in here for that 3 minutes, providing this is as hot as it should be. You would have a towel. Hope this is my clean one. This is folded in 4. You can have several towels folded up in 3 or 4 layers or 8 layers if need be. And you put it between your fomentation and the back and on the skin, right? Because I mean, I seen one patient, it wasn't mine, thankfully. The person, I was working at a facility where we do these treatments on people at a lifestyle center in the US, and the person was extremely sensitive to heat, like abnormally sensitive, and she must have had about at least 6 layers of towel, like pretty thick, like quite thick, between the one fomentation and her skin, 6 layers of folded up towel, and the person still got a blister on the back, up on the shoulder. A very sensitive person. You may even be that kind of person, I don't know. So you do, or if you ever do these kind of treatments, which I highly recommend trying to do them in your home, this method is good, or microwave or oven, or however it works out, to get the experience. You know, it's life-saving if tuberculosis ever comes back to this country. You can help people with stuff like this, treatments like this. Okay, so yeah.
Can you use the liquid cayenne? The one that
liquid cayenne?
that they
No, it's I think it's like a tincture or whatever they call it. They use cayenne to make. They mix it with maybe some alcohol.
the one that you take?
Yeah. Okay, I'm not sure.
I'd never heard of liquid cayenne, but
Oh.
use the powder.
No, we have this liquid cayenne that
Yeah.
they ingest.
There's, yeah.
Pardon me, tincture. But then it's got, is it hot? Like
Alcohol.
Do they all have
alcohol based?
They all.
I think so.
There's a herbalist in my church who makes it for us.
Get
For
you
like
going, start you
the
off the
church
day.
members. So she makes like for children, for adults. Like they should make.
That's
like
good.
stuff.
Actually, cayenne's really good internally. It's not the same as another
I don't know
pepper.
She just gives it to you readily.
You wanna try that? You wanna try to see me?
As a base.
As a base.
Base. Because it's either alcohol base or glycerin base.
Yeah. But I still recommend using the powder, and you can buy the powder because you can buy it in the grocery store, like a little package for like $1 or something, right? But it's probably not as hot. You can get really hot cayenne, and then real mild cayenne, and
Different heat units.
different heat units. And the one I'm going to demonstrate with this week when we make some salves, I think it's 190,000, some or 160,000. It's up there, anyways. So you can. I think the hotter, the better. You want a good contrast for your diabetic patients, basically. And it doesn't hurt the skin, just remember that. Also for, you want to be careful for not to burn unconscious people. Don't do any treatments on unconscious people unless you know what you're doing and you got a doctor's order, which probably none of us will ever be in that situation. So leave that to the professionals. Impaired with, yeah, okay, so we covered all of that. Do not apply fomentations where there is a danger of hemorrhage or suspected malignancy. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. I'm on page 43. Be especially careful with thin or aged persons and with children. Thin people, I think it's common sense. They don't have a lot of layers of fat for insulation. I mean, you can do them. I've done on children. I've done it on scrawny teenagers before fomentations, and you just have to apply a lot of towel insulation between the pad, and they tend to sweat a lot more too. Same with children. And bony people that, you know, just have bones everywhere because they get hotter up there and you could burn their skin much more. And then here it's just telling you kind of how to do this. So you want to explain to your patient everything that you're going to do to them. You walk them right through it. It's going to be new for them. You know what you're doing. They don't. If you have a patient that's claustrophobic and they got a bunch of fomentations on them and all wrapped up in a bundle like a cocoon, their head has got something on it, like they might have a hard time in there, right? So explain to them, have some gentle music in the background, just some nice instrumental, like, and keep the windows closed so there's no draft coming in. Make it very nice. You might have some, I don't want it to make it sound new age, but just make it really like a sedative effect where they're comfortable and they trust you and you trust what you're doing so they don't feel alarmed or whatever. Make sure your fingernails are cut short so you don't accidentally scratch them. And then it just, you want to keep modesty. So if the patient has to remove their clothing, explain to them, you give them their space, a few minutes in their privacy in the room, tell them to cover up with the sheet that's on the bed, and then when you come in, so there's no embarrassment or anything, just make sure they're 100% cared for the right way. The way you want to be treated is what you do for them. For treatment, let's see. If you're going to do it on a bed, I've done it on beds before, make sure you get a nice big sheet of plastic and cover up the whole bed. Then you put, you don't want to put them directly on the plastic. That's going to be very uncomfortable for them. It's sticky and cold and it makes too much noise. Then you put another sheet on top of that can get wet. And then you do the treatment on top of that so you don't spoil any of the furnitures. I used to do these treatments in the jungles of Guyana in people's houses. What a challenge that was. Yeah.
Would you have a big pot?
Yeah, they have pots. Everybody has pots in their houses.
Get the water going?
Everybody's got electric stoves.
Oh, they got electric stoves?
Everyone's got electricity there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that helps.
And if you don't have electricity, then you can set it up next to a fire and make your pot all black on one side, but it'll work as long as you get your water hot.
Speaking of pots, how big, like how many gallons is that pot?
I have no idea. Henry bought it. He brought it home one day. I was like, it was super expensive. I said, what is that thing for?
Well, that's about 10 gallons.
And I got like kind of cheesed out on him about that. But he said, it's for hydrotherapy when you do treatments for people. And I said, okay. So it's going to work, but it's huge. And you don't have to be this extreme. But anyways, I'm happy he was thinking. He was nice that way. Where am I here? Okay, make sure your patient's feet are warm. Poor circulation in the feet. If you're doing a treatment above, have a fomentation, an extra one ready the entire time. Wrap up their feet in a fomentation, a well-prepared one, in the wool blanket with a layer of towel so you don't burn their feet, and keep it on the entire time if you're doing a treatment in bed. Okay? If you're doing a hot foot bath in a bucket, you know, their feet are going to be warm, but if you're doing something on a bed, make sure their feet, because once their feet get cold, I've had treatments done for me. If my feet get cold, you don't get a good feeling. You're not warm, you're not relaxed. It doesn't matter what's being done up here or up here. If your feet aren't happy, the rest of you is not happy.
If you're doing that foot wash, do you have like one hot water and one cold?
You can. You can go back and forth. There's so many different treatments out there. And in that book, that extra packet of book that I gave you, there's a number of treatments. You'll see what I'm talking about. Okay. Sorry. So for treatment of a post-operative area, cover all dressings with plastic before the fomentation, or casts. If the person has a cast or any bandages, you want to cover it up with, unless that area is super sensitive and it shouldn't get hot. You got to know what you're dealing with, right? The That's just common sense. But if they do have, like an old person, if they got a skin tear, that because their skin is often very thin and they bang it on something and then they got a tear, and they'll usually always have a bandage there. You can wrap like a saran wrap. I didn't bring anything down with me. And just cover that area. But usually you don't do fomentations on the arm. Their arms are usually off to the side like this, and then you can just do what you have to do, like a mother or a grandmother or somebody, or grandpa or whatever. Apply cold compress to the head if needed. It's always a good idea. Make sure there's a bag of ice with you that you apply in the back of the head or up top, or we always will do cold compresses on the forehead when you're working with, you want to keep your head cool, in other words. It can lead to stroke or heart attacks depending on the problems the patient may have. Like, right, you can do treatments on certain people, but on some there's caution. You want to always make sure the head is cold or cooler so it doesn't get too hot. Or migraines. People can get migraines if they're overheated. In heart disease or high pulse, place a bag over the heart. Like we talked about that briefly one time. Tachycardia, if the heart starts rapidly beating, or if you have a stroke patient or a patient with heart disease. If you know what you're doing, I have to mention these things because when you work in a facility, you get all manner of people with all manner of issues. You just got to keep the precautions. Or maybe if you're going to work with your family members, your grandmothers or your grandpas, you can help them. Just keep in mind that you want to have a bag of ice placing over the heart if their blood pressure goes up too high or their heart rate goes up too high. Okay. Place a towel next to the patient's skin. 2 or 3 fomentation covers doubled in half for insulation. Apply a hot fomentation. I already talked about that. It's just folding up your towel to as many as you may need per person. And when your fomentation is ready to be placed on the body, you have your folded up towels there already before this goes on. And that's your insulation. Leave for a specific time, then remove, dry, and with a dry washcloth, apply another fomentation. So this is usually 3 changes. We always do 3 changes. If you do 6 changes, that's half an hour. 3 changes is 5 minutes, or it's about a 5-minute complete, so 5, 10, 15, 15 minutes. Huh? It's 3.
6. Every 5 minutes for half an hour is 6.
No, it's, hang on.
Sorry.
You said 6 in half an hour.
Yeah.
6 it's 15 minutes, I think, because you're looking at 5 minutes. You got 3 minutes hot, and then you've got a 1 minute cool. So there's 4, and then you got an extra minute, and you got to work fast. You were timing yourself. I'll get there after, but what are you guys looking at?
She's bringing. I think she's bringing.
No, the
Ray's
kids
bringing
are
dog
asleep.
food.
Oh wait, not there. Okay.
There's a lady
Okay,
here.
good. As long as Ruby doesn't have
She must be the lady from the house.
Okay, so anyhow, let's concentrate. What was your question? I want to get back on track here.
I was just making 5 minutes for times 6 equals.
Okay, so when you're doing a fomentation across someone's chest or whatever, or sinus, even you were talking about sinus earlier, you can do the same, but it's 3 minutes hot, 1 minute cold. That's your standard. So you're timing it. You have to time it. Everybody has to time it. Don't make it 5 minutes because these things cool down after 3 minutes, right? You got to get it super hot. You got to get wrapped up properly. You got to get your towel in the right place, and you got to time 3 minutes. When you take it off, you got your bucket of ice water and your cold cloth in the ice water. And as soon as this fomentation comes off, the second one is ready at the same time. And you gotta dip your cold cloth, wring it out really good, do a cold mitten friction super fast because you gotta get your contrast, right? That's the whole point of hot and cold, is the contrast. You're opening up your blood vessels, vasodilation, and then when you do the cold contrast, your vasoconstriction, you're shrinking them, and that's the whole point of the hydrotherapy treatment. Probably I didn't get into that properly when we were going over theory the other day. Okay.
Do like a practical of that?
No. I'm just telling you now because I don't know how. To be honest, I've got 2 men. One is not here, and then the rest is women. And I cannot work on a woman in front of others. And if I did a dry run with the clothing, then whichever student I pick to do it on doesn't get to see the treatment, just gets to see how it's done. I'm going to do another treatment here, a Russian steam bath treatment, kinda, with one of you students. We'll experience it, and everyone can watch how it's done.
They do these online, right? A video.
Yeah.
They would show you how to do it
Good
online.
point. You can go online on YouTube and see how they're done. They're so easy. Okay.
Do you recommend any or no?
I don't know any. You can order them too from some schools, have videos already made. Okay, so after the last fomentation, rub the area with a cold compress or a towel and thoroughly dry off your patient, no matter what. When you're dealing with water, especially when the last application is cold, you want to dry them off so they don't cool down on their own and then catch a chill. It just kind of spoils the whole effect that you've gone through. And then the patient, it only says should rest a few minutes if possible. That's not true. A patient needs to rest minimum of 30 minutes afterwards with their legs elevated. So the best thing to do is have them lie on a couch or on their bed to minimum 30 minutes, if not 45 minutes to an hour. Okay. So did that make 11:20? Any questions? I'm not going to do a real Russian steam bath. I have a Russian steam bath tent, but I didn't bring it, and I just kicked myself for it because I had planned to bring it, and I don't know where it is. It's at home, so I'm sorry about that, but we're going to do something else instead.
A what steam bath?
Russian steam bath, we're not doing that. I said I have a tent at home that I wanted to bring in and do a demo with. So in the rest of your packet that I sent you, there's a bunch of, okay, here you go. Page 47. When I was describing, when I was talking about 3 changes on the chest, and I talked about the patient there's a diagram here at the bottom, page 47. Okay. There might be, even in here, I'm sure there is, in this book, another demonstration. I just want you to see what it looks like.
My daughter has problems with her sinuses.
Yeah, most of us.
Okay. I've only had a sinus problem once in my life, and I know it's miserable because I don't usually get them, but the one I had nearly knocked me off my feet, so I think it's a good idea to talk about that.
I have a problem if I don't drink enough water. Do I get really bad headaches?
Yeah.
And my vision becomes impaired.
Really?
Yeah. I can see, but I can't really see.
So how much water are you drinking today?
Oh, I've been drinking better now. But I know that if I'm getting low, then I just get that consequence.
Okay. Yeah, if I don't drink, my body lets me know too. Well, I don't really see the treatment in here so much, but I see one similar in here, which I'll show you.
So I think I passed it on to my daughter.
It's not something that you can pass.
So this is a fomentation for the knees. It's not the body, it's not the trunk, but it gives you a super good idea of really what it looks like. It's the leg and the knee. It's on your other package of pictures. Very basic. And just imagine, though, if it was your chest. So you're lying on a bed. You've got your folded up towels underneath the actual fomentation that's protecting the body part from the hot. Okay, it's very simple. And then the one that I do want to talk about, the treatment that I'm going to do now, I'm going to do that one last. Excuse me. I'm just going to come over here and warm up my water. And then, Okay, I've got some water here that I'm warming up for this treatment because we're going to do an actual treatment. But I want to talk about this thing. Okay, I'm going to take these out for a sec. So if you were to get a pot and some fomentations and do this treatment at home, you'll probably make your own fomentations. Or I can ask my friend if she still makes them and sells them. There's a lady I know, she lives in Tennessee, she makes these and sells them. You can get a kit that has everything, and it has about, I'm thinking 4 of these large fomentations. It has a Russian steam bath, which is, it's just it's more than just a plastic bag. It's actually a quality material that it prevents the steam from coming from, and it doesn't rip apart so easily. It's a
thicker plastic.
It's a very thicker.
Like a raincoat?
Like a what?
You know when you paint your walls, you know you put a plastic
Canvas.
Is that the same type?
I would say it's more like a cheap fox leather kind of material, like the upholstery on that chair behind you.
Like vinyl.
Vinyl. That's the word. Vinyl. So it's more like that, and she sewed it up. It's really quite nice. I'm so sorry I didn't bring it. I had it in my hand. I thought it was in my stuff. When I got here, it's not. So I know where it's at home, along with a few other things I wanted to bring but forgot, but that's okay. Anyway, she sews it up nicely. It flows out. Do you got a picture there? Yeah. Yeah, that's the one we're going to do today. The one we are going to do today is this, and we're going to use sheets instead of an actual other thing. So, well,
let us know, you know.
Okay, anyways, I want to talk about this.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You know your
Fomentation?
the one that you've made.
Yeah.
It needs to have this cross.
Yeah.
Okay, to keep it together. It's to keep it from opening up, pillowing, right?
Okay.
These, when you get them wet, you have to dry them out thoroughly so they don't get moldy and get mildew on them. So I have 2 of them that are wet, and I just wanted to make them wet to give you the idea of what you're looking at if you do have these higher quality ones, the consistency. And I am planning to, this is my, I'm explaining this pot. I had to empty it now to explain how to do this one but yeah. Okay, so anyways, and this is the towel one. These are so easy to make. And you just roll them up loosely. And while I'm doing this, I'm only going to have, oh yeah, sorry. So this pot's not, you can't just have your fomentation filled up with water because it's a steam bath, right? Remember, or a steam kettle. You have to have a false bottom at the bottom, and your water is going to be in the pot at the level of about 1 inch, because if you have it above the grade, your fomentations are going to be sitting in the water, and you don't want that. Remember, they can't be dripping. If you have hot dripping fomentations and then hot with steam, and then you wrap them up in your wool blanket, you're going to cause water drips to come out and spoil your patient, and that's not a good thing. So the idea, it's a false bottom, and this is your pot, nice and deep, right? You're going to put this, it's about 1 inch, just like that, and then you're going to get some water. This is hot water here. Okay, that's all right. And you're just going to fill it up to up to the foot, like that 1 inch, because if you can't have it coming up. Okay, that's pretty good. It's not quite, but I just want to show you what I'm talking about, because I actually need hot water for the other treatment.
Where did you find that grate where it's raised up?
The what? Oh, it's a cookie thing.
Oh, like a cooling rack.
It's a cooling rack. Oh, okay. So, anyways, I'm gonna leave this here. Katya, make sure your child doesn't come and burn him. I'm gonna. I know I'm out of. I have to have this here. I'm putting this over here with the fomentations that are wet. You're gonna put them on top of there. Sorry. You're gonna.
You want us to come round?
Yeah, can you come here? Because I don't.
Come stand round.
Yeah, come stand around if you want.
Okay, okay, so it's very...
It's supposed to, if I had enough water, I would put it right up to the top of there, okay? But I don't. I need the other hot water for the other treatment I'm going to do. So just with your imagination, it's up there, that's what you see. And then you have your rolled up fomentations. You're going to put them in there.
What about that long one was that something different?
What?
You were stretching one across before.
That's it. Just showing you. These aren't, I'm just putting in, they're dry. Just to fill in the space so they don't all fall over, right? Because I don't want those to fall over. The idea.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so then you put the lid on, and then you have it on your stove top, which mine is over on the floor, and it's going to get hot. And the idea, sorry for the camera, you just turn it all the way up to high. Oh, and the idea is that's going to boil and steam hot those fomentations, and hopefully by the end of class, I can pull it out, wrap it up in a wool blanket, and you can feel how hot it is, if it works. And if my water doesn't dry out. You might have to do that, keep applying more water to it, but you guys get the idea, right? Like that was the whole point. Okay, so it's 11:30, so I have an hour. Who wants to volunteer for this treatment? I need a girl.
I'll do it.
Okay. You're going to be okay with taking your socks off? It's going to be a real treatment.
Oh, I can do it.
Okay. So your feet will be warm. It's going to be warm water going in here.
Don't you switch it? You're going to switch it cold and hot?
I'll put cold on the feet afterwards. So all you need to do is sit in the chair and put your feet in there. You can drape your skirt around it. I'm just put your feet in the water, like just.
Oh, it's cold, eh?
Yeah, I know. It's okay for you. Now, I want to say, I have my hot water ready already. I'm glad we have tile floors. I forgot to mention one of the most important parts of hydrotherapy. You pray. It's not what you do, and it's not the hydrotherapy treatment itself, it's God. It's what God does. He's the great physician. I have a lot of quotes that I never did read in the beginning of this class, but they're in your hydrotherapy books, Spirit of Prophecy quotes. He's the physician. He's the one that heals all diseases and whatever, and we have trust in him and natural remedies, and that's what this treatment is. So I'm going to pray. The idea is, actually I probably got you started too early, but that's okay. Can't go wrong with a treatment like this, the idea. So you're going to already know about your patient if they are diabetic. Are you diabetic?
No.
Or do you have stroke?
No.
Heart attacks?
No.
Migraines?
No.
Are you comfortable?
Yes.
Okay. What I normally do is I get the patient set up before I pray. And then once, and I don't usually have them have their feet in the cold water, but she caught me off guard and I said, just get in. So anyways, I don't usually do it that way. I usually anyways, it doesn't matter. It's good. You want to wrap her up really well. Here, just put your hands to your side. I'll do it. Just be comfortable.
Should I sit back?
Yeah, sit back and be comfortable. Do you feel like you're too short? Do you want the chair to go down a little?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'll do it for you. How's that?
More.
That's as far as it
That's it?
goes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
And if you look at your picture, I'm not putting a kettle right under her. Okay, can I have your attention, please? Can I have your attention? So, you don't have to, you can, but this is not a true Russian steam bath. This is for a Russian steam bath, and I'm not doing that. I'm giving her this treatment. She has a headache, or
Sinus?
just a headache. If she had a sinus treatment, I would do something different. There's other things you can do for a sinus.
I'm just thinking of my daughter, that's all.
Yeah, we can talk after, or if we have time, we can look at some of the sinus treatments. She has a headache, so I'm giving her this treatment. She's also exhausted, full of anxiety. She has no sleep. She's got a lot of children. She's exhausted. I should be doing this with you. And I can later if you want, before bedtime if you're interested. And we'll do a good one too, but we're just explaining it now. And anyway, so she's got a headache, she's exhausted, she's anxiety, she's stressed out, she's the whole 9 yards. So this is what this treatment is going to be good for. And I'm not putting a kettle under it to create steam. I'm just having her feet in the hot foot bath. Technically it's not supposed to be cold in the beginning, but... And then what you're going to do is you're going to wrap them up really well. And the idea is you don't want... Sorry if I don't want to make it too tight around your neck. And then you want to make sure that it's all covered up nicely at the bottom, but that you have access. So that looks good. Do you want to take your glasses off a little? Can I do it?
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. That was a nice shock. I'm not sure how I'm going to get this on you. A nice turban. But I'm just going to probably just cover. I have... This is a wool scarf. And I use wool scarves for other things, like if you're going to have a treatment around your throat or around just a simple treatment around your shoulders or arms, you want to cover it in a scarf, in a wool scarf, just to keep the heat in. But I'm going to do it now just to make sure that none of the heat escapes. And I hope it's not too itchy. And then I'm going to cover her head. Now in the picture it's a turban. I'm not sure how to do that on her when she's like that, so I'm just going to kind of cover up a little bit like that. How do you feel?
I'm warm.
And your feet are in cold water, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the, now I'm going to get, I'm just coming down here, and I'm going to pour the hot water in here, but this is where you have to pay attention. And you gotta, usually it's the elbow, or if you have a thermometer, but you don't. And I can't get my elbow in that far, so I'm gonna be even more cautious about the water that I'm pouring in. Oops. Now you stay put, you don't worry about me none. You're gonna just, could you just put your feet to the side of the bucket, keep it in the water.
Oh, like that?
Yeah, it's a little bit. No, it's not going to work. Maybe just move your feet out of the way a little bit. Yeah, but to one side, both of them to one side. Yeah. Hopefully I don't burn you. Okay. Thank you. Actually, maybe just pull them out. Pull them right out. Okay, because I don't want to burn you. I'm just going to pour a little water in at a time. Hang on. I just want to make sure it's not too hot for her feet. I can't pour the water in. The bucket is too narrow. Okay, put your feet in now. Tell me how it feels.
That's warm.
Okay, good.
Feels good?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Now, I wouldn't normally use a pot because pots are wide and awkward and you can really burn your patient uncomfortably. So I use a kettle or a pitcher or something like that when you're pouring the water in, because you really absolutely, definitely don't want to burn your patient. So I'm going to pour this in here. It's not going to be a full treatment anyways because my water's not hot. Now we'll pray. So, dear Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for natural remedies, and I ask that you'll put your blessing on Sister Daniela, and that this treatment will help her with all of the reasons why she needs it. And I trust in you, Father, and I thank you for natural remedies. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen.
And then you just wait. You're timing this. Now this treatment I would do, how long do we do this treatment for? About, I don't know, half an hour maybe? 15 minutes? 15 minutes. With this treatment also, she's going to let me know. Now, I should technically have, and I do, I've got more cold water here. This is as soon as she gets too hot, she's going to let me know. I'm also going to touch her forehead. It is quite warm. You may see beads of sweat coming up. You need to have a cold compress ready. You want to squeeze it out quite well. Try not to get her wet. Try not to get anyone water splashed everywhere type of thing. Make it nice and comfortable for her. And just make sure. You ready for cold compress? Type of thing. Just tuck it in under your, so you don't have to hold it the whole time. Is that all right? How you feeling? And then, and she's going to know whether she needs more hot water, and she's going to let me know. And as soon as she lets me know, I don't know, and I'm not going to add it in for her. She has to let me know. You pour in a little bit at a time. With one hand, you're stirring the water. You're pouring. Her feet are in there, but you're not burning her. And she's going to say, okay, that's hot enough. And then you stop, and you continue to let her have her treatment. Okay? So, we might, go ahead.
Do you have to give her water?
She can have water.
She can have
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want some water?
Yes, please.
Here's her.
Which one?
Her husband will do it.
Do you have a straw? You don't have a straw. A straw would be good.
I know.
Am I okay?
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
She said,
It's hot in here.
Good. You're going to sweat all the toxins out.
Yeah, I'm already feeling sweaty.
And then you're going to change this out a few times. It's not just a one-time thing. You're going to do it frequently to keep her cooled down. How are your feet? Do you need more hot water?
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
you're getting the full treatment.
I'm
aren't you?
telling you, I'm enjoying this.
Oh yeah, she's looking kind of shiny on the nose now. So that's good.
Can you do more than one person at a time, or is it one per?
Do one person at a time. How can I do another person in the middle of this?
No, I'm not just saying you, but I mean if you happen more than one. You know, like if you're in a facility or whatever.
I work one patient at a time. I can't do, and because like the sinus treatment. Hang on, let me do the water first. Okay, just keep your feet in the water, but move them both to one side equally. Yeah, I prefer that side.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I'm going to pour over here, and tell me when it's too hot. Okay, thank you. Too hot? It'll cool down quickly. So with the sinus treatment, like what I was saying, your patient's going to be on a bed, and you'll have little fomentations, which I have at home, and I didn't bring them, and I'm sorry about that. But you saw the big fomentations, so they're little ones, and they're not the same material, Is it the same material or not? I can't remember now. Yeah, they are the same material. It's the same material, so you can make them yourself out of towels, but they're only about 5 inches wide and probably about that long. So there's a picture in here. If, yeah. 47. So this is for a sinus treatment. I'll just read it. It says, a sinus treatment consists in alternate hot and cold application to the sinus area of the head with ice, compresses to the base and vertex of the head. So the equipment you'll need is a hot foot tub. Okay, you're going to follow the picture. Okay, that's how you... Now, you're not going to do it for your daughter, but her husband would do it for her, and you're going to teach him how to do it, right? So... she's going to be... So this is a challenging one because you're timing it. Now, just keep in mind, you're going to be doing a chest fomentation, the revulsive. It's hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, finish on cold is your last one. 3 hots, 3 colds, hot first, finish on cold last. The whole body gets a cold mitten friction at the end. I can only explain it verbally. I don't know if you can visualize it mentally without actually seeing the procedure done itself, but I'm quite sure if you go on YouTube, you can see how it's done. I know that you can get DVDs from UT Pines. I have a stack of them at home, how they do simple treatments like that. But when you're doing, you'll do your first chest fomentation, the hot, 3 minutes. So you're timing that 3 minutes, and you have to be so stingy on your time. You get your sinus one ready, and you put your sinus one, and you want to be careful that you're not burning the eyes. There's a certain way it goes on across the forehead. I can't remember, it's been so long. Anyways, as soon as we get the internet, I'll see what I can find on the internet and show you how it's done. And then you have the 3 minutes hot on the face. And once you get set up on the face, this one has already probably been 3 minutes on your chest, right? You take this one off your chest nicely. You do the cold mitten friction. By the time you get your second hot fomentation on, this 3 minutes, it's done. You take it off, you do a cold mitten friction on the face. This one is still sitting. When you're done that, you get the next hot fomentation sinus for your face. This one's ready, the second application. That's why it's like you gotta be ready. Timing is everything. 5 minutes, you're doing a lot in 5 minutes. You take this one off, you do the cold mitten friction, you get the next one on, this one will be ready. You take that one off, cold mitten friction, get the next one on. You gotta be, it's like a game of chess. You've got every move in advance ready, right? Every fomentation that you're gonna be ready in advance is ready. So, like the ones that are in there steaming up in that kettle, I only have 2 in there, and I just wanna show you how hot it is, and I hope it works. Like, I don't have a lot of water. I could probably get more water in there, but I'm running out of hot water because she needs it. No, it's okay. You just relax. Oh, it's working. Okay, yeah, it's working. It's coming along nicely. But the idea is it has to be in the steam kettle, and I'll bring it over here so we can show it on the camera in a minute. It still needs to steam a little bit hotter, and the idea is to have the thick fomentation penetrated with that hot steam, because that's the whole point. How are you feeling? You ready for another exchange?
Yes, please.
I talk too much, don't I? How's the rest of you? Your feet? Want some more hot water?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see what I can do. If you guys, I don't know, want to come over and see how I do the water on her feet, so you get an idea.
So what is this one are we treating for her?
Anxiety, stress, she's got a headache.
Okay.
She might have a chest cold. That's one of them you can do if you don't have fomentations to do the other things. Detoxing, tired, detoxing. She's too much paint fumes, painting a bedroom.
So if I go somewhere for this treatment, about how much roughly it would cost?
I don't know if you get them done in Canada. I don't know if you...
Maybe silver.
Hydrotherapy?
Maybe.
Doubt it. I've been there. It's all more electronic now.
Oh, they don't. I thought they still do.
Do they?
Like that. I don't know for sure.
They
If
haven't...
I go to a clinic or somewhere that does hydrotherapy, I just need to know how much that
I don't
costs.
know. Call them. Call them in the U.S. I really don't know what a treatment like this costs. Maybe $40, $45, $50. I don't know. It's free if you come to my class, to my place. So if you can just gather around here, I don't want to get in the middle of the camera, but I want you to see how I'm pouring the water in, so I'm not going to burn her feet. And you might think it's elementary, we could all figure it out. But you have to have one hand in the water. Come, Katya. You got to have one hand in the water. You got to feel the water to make sure when the hot water with the cooler water is mixing nicely, you're going to feel it and she's going to tell you. And you have to move the water like that to mix it wisely, right? How's the water? Good? And she lets you know, and that's all you do. And she's happy again.
So is this the one you want 100 degrees in there?
No,
this is just warm.
This is a, oh, if it's yeah, you can do this treatment, you're right, on a diabetic patient, no problem. It has to be no over 100. So you get your 100 water first in there, they get their feet in there, they probably don't feel it, whatever. Throw your cayenne in there, throw your mustard seed, one or the other.
But for this application, you just want it warm or quite hot, or just for her tolerance?
Tolerance.
When she goes in, see, I would never ever normally put people in cold water right off the bat. She unfortunately had that treatment, but it wasn't that bad. You want it warm. You want it warm, comfortable, warm when you first get the feet in there, and not too deep, because you're going to be adding water on a regular basis to warm it up for her so she can get the desired effect. Is that okay? Yeah. Get the desired effect. But for a diabetic patient or someone else who's got poor circulation, you just want to make sure it's warm water, like the 100 or the 38, 39 plus, and then add your, because it doesn't matter, it won't burn them. You know what I mean? Just don't make sure it's not hotter than that, what it's supposed to be. Okay, so her treatment, when did I start this? See, that's bad. We're supposed to time everything.
3 minutes is gone already.
Must be more than that. It's 11:52, so 12.
So 11:47?
11:47 I started? 47. 7 minutes? Really? That's it? No way. It has to be longer than 7 minutes. Let's say 10 minutes. I'm happy with 10.
Yeah, probably 10.
I would say more than 10. You have to set up, you have to pray, you have to talk. She's just sitting there. I don't think it's been 7 minutes. But in any case, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so I'm going to give her just a few more minutes. I'm going to cut her treatment short, and then I'm going to show you the other thing. But I'm just going to let her sit there for a few minutes because my steam is ready. And I'm just going to put my papers over here because I need, I just need to make some space. So maybe the class will be finished at 12. I might not need that extra half an hour after all. which is okay. Do you need some more water to drink?
No, I'm okay.
Okay. It's always good to ask your patient. Oh, I gave handouts today. I want to just read. It's on hair health. I'm not going to go into hair health. I just want to go on page 3 at the top. There's a treatment for hydrotherapy for your hair. This is for hair health to stop hair falling out. These are some natural remedies what you would do to consider helping your hair from falling out. And it's not just a genetic thing for gentlemen, but a lot of women are losing their hair for all kinds of diseases and health issues, and it's actually a really big deal now. I'm noticing more and more when I go to places where it's retail and there's a checkout and there's a woman operating the till and she's got a huge bald patch or very thinning hair up top. So for whatever health issue, it could be cancer, it could be a number of things. But on page 3, hydrotherapy, I just thought you'd be interested to know just a little snippet about this. The following remedy has been recommended to stop hair loss. It works on the principle of getting good circulation to the scalp. This can be done with towels dipped in hot water and wrung out, as it is much easier to use in a microwave to heat a towel. Okay, so we've talked about all of that. I shall detail how this method is used. Oh, I don't want to read the whole thing. Let's see. First, you do 3 consecutive days, then twice a week for a few weeks, and then once weekly until the hair growth is reestablished. And then you can read how it's done, because it talks about the different ways to heat up your fomentation, which would be your towel in this case. You're not going to have the real thing. And you put it on top of the head. Just follow the instructions. So the gist of this is you can promote hair growth again for those that are balding. I don't know if it would work for someone who's bald, like our brother who sits at the back. Genetics, I really don't know, but I'm really thinking about when you're, if someone's sick. I lost my hair when I was working at a facility down in the States, at a facility where I was doing these things. I woke up one day and I had a lot of hair, like in the bundles on my pillow. How are you feeling? And I wasn't sure why, so I talked to the nutrition there, and it seemed like it would have been something along the lines of being deficient in some minerals. And I didn't know about the Celtic salt in the water back then as I do now. So that's a good idea to take into consideration. But I also, at one time when I had my fillings removed, my amalgamated fillings, and then replaced with the white ones, what do you call that, porcelain fillings. I didn't go to the correct dentist. I went to a regular dentist, and so when she put that rubber dam in a lot of the mercury filling, I got it ingested, and it destroyed my endocrine. My T4s went up. Is that how it goes? And I developed hypothyroid because of that. Yeah, so I was battling with hypothyroid for a few years, and it's not one to get better from very easily. I had some blood work done a few years after that happened, and the blood work came out. It's not bad. Whatever I was doing, I didn't do anything special to fix my thyroid. I just ate better. I did the basic stuff better, and then my blood got better, and my thyroid seemed to correct itself. So it's really not as bad, and my hair is not falling out like it was. So this treatment in there, just read it on your own. You don't have. I don't want to read it. I'm done with reading. Okay, the final stages about my patient now. She's done. And so I'm going to just change this over one more time in the cold water. So I know she's had the general effects done to her body with this treatment. She's detoxified. She feels really good. Her headache is gone. She's ready for a nap. So remember, you tell me, so when you do a hot application, what do you do after that? So what am I going to do?
Take her feet up.
Oh, you're going to dry her off.
Before I dry her off, what am I going to do?
And with the hot.
Okay, not quite a mitten friction, because I don't have a mitten. I left it at home, and I wouldn't do it anyways. I'm going to pour cold water on her feet. And this is going to be a nice tonic for her. She's going to enjoy this. So you just relax, relax. Oh, I'm sorry. You're okay? Do you want some more on your head?
No, it's okay.
Okay. You just want to make sure she's, okay, just leave your feet there for a few. Yeah, and I'll just tell you, I'll tell you what to do.
All right.
I'm just going to, oh, you got leggings on. Well, they'll dry off quickly.
Yeah.
I'll be careful. Here, I'll do it for you. You just relax. I just hope my nails aren't too long. So I'm just getting her legs ready. I won't try to make you all wet. Yeah. So with the proper contrast, we always do the hot and then the cold. And you're just looking for a contrast, a stimulation. Her blood vessels are open. Now we're going to shrink them up. Sorry about that. You know what? You're going to... So if you can just lift your feet slightly, just lift them up slightly and make sure they don't go back in the hot water. And then to get a proper contrast. And we're not going to overdo it. That feels good, huh? Okay, keep your feet up. Okay, you can just take them right up. There you go.
I'm not very rich, so much
Here, I'll take them. Okay, just relax. Huh?
It's very fast.
This treatment?
No, as you pour the water.
Yeah. Absolutely. You just got to make sure for her comfort's sake and that everything's done right, and you want to dry her off properly, right between the toes. Yeah. How do you feel? Does that feel all right? Okay. Here, I'll unravel you in a sec. That's okay. And then she would have to go lie down for about half an hour.
I'm sleeping.
Okay. There you go. Enjoy.
How do you feel?
Drink some water. Have her drink a little bit of cold water. Make sure she's not woozy and falls over. So the... Okay, so I'm going to bring over the steam pot. Huh? Okay, this has worked well. I'm not going to put it on that stool because, yeah, I wreck it. And we got tile floor, so it's okay. So here you're going to see, you might want to come over and have a look. See how it's ready. Now, I don't have rubber gloves, so I'm going to be, which one is it? Oh, this one. I'm going to take this. If I had the right gloves, but you get the picture, right? So I don't want to burn myself. It's hot. And then you just roll it out nicely like that. Okay, I don't want to get in the way. You cover it up really quick with your wool blanket, and then you roll it like that. Okay, so now I'm going to pass it around and everyone feel how hot it is. Don't touch it on the inside. but feel how hot that is. And that's what you're going to be putting on somebody's back or the chest for 3 minutes. But you got to remember to put your layers of towels in between so you don't burn their skin.
And the wool blankets you went to a fabric shop, I guess, to get them?
Second-hand store. I don't know. I have no idea, but
You roll the towel in or on the outside?
I'll show you. Let's see, here's my towel. So, pretending that you've got a patient here, you've got your towel, 4 layers, you're gonna, and this is on top of somebody's chest or on their back or whatever, you're just gonna roll it out like this. If you have another towel, cover it up. To keep the heat in, the whole idea is you want to keep the heat in to make sure, here's 2 layers, or 2 layers, make sure that the hot side is, or they're both hot sides, is going to be on the skin, back or front, either way. Okay, simple as that. Now,
You can have one on the front, one on the back.
you'll have, for some treatments, you'll have it. And I have a malaria treatment. It's 8 fomentations on the feet, down both legs, like 1 per leg. On top, 1 per leg. That's already 4 or 5. You got 1 on the back, so that's 6. And you got 1 on the abdomen, 7, and 1 on the chest, 8. 8 fomentations. Then you have the person wrapped in a cotton sheet, and then with towels on top, like you got to make sure there's towels in between. A cotton sheet, and then the last is a wool blanket to keep all that heat on. And for malaria, the write-up is in your paper, so just read about it. It's like when the first chills come on, the first onset of chills, and the patient knows that they're going to come down with a fever and something. You want to get it before in the fever state, because the patient knows how. I've never had malaria, but I'm just.
I have, yes.
Okay, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
You'll feel like you'll know you're getting sick. Really
So
bad.
before your malaria really kicks in, when you get your first stages of chills, is my understanding, according to what the paper says, and they've done some tests, and that's when you get your patient already wrapped up in your fomentations, and they lie in that for about an hour and a half. And then you do a cold mitten friction all over. And you're going to do that multiple times over until it breaks, the malaria breaks. Read the paper. Just read the paper.
So is this in addition with the
Quinine? Or
like the medication that you take?
I read or heard an article where in Kellogg's time they had done, somebody told me about this. I want to make sure it's accurate, maybe, but it's my understanding. I hope it's correct understanding, because I don't want to say anything that may not be true, because this is what I was told in my class when I was learning about hydrotherapy. Is they had 2 patients that had malaria really bad. One had the treatment that I just told you about, and the other went on the quinine. And the one that went on the quinine never really did get better, but the one that was getting the fomentation treatments until the malaria got better or broke or wasn't sick anymore with it, did much better. And I don't know how many treatments in the article does it say that he had to have this treatment, the fomentation treatment. And I don't know about quinine, how much quinine you have to take. But just read the article, and it's there, and maybe it's more in Kellogg's writing somewhere else, I don't know. So, class is over. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for every blessing. Thank you for natural remedies. I'm glad that we got to see something, and may it be simple enough that we can take home with us and use on our own to help our family members and friends. Thank you for every blessing. For your ways are simple, not complex and natural, and we're so grateful for that. In the name of Jesus, amen.